Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. I realized something I haven't done this year is actually show you my garden and give you the highlights and lowlights of what the growing year has been for me personally. I think first it's important to point out location. I live in the Northern California in the Santa Cruz Mountains in the Los Gatos area. So in general, we have pretty mild temperatures, but our heat comes in late. So the challenges of that are that we have lots of cold, damp mornings that then get warmer during the day. So when you have the cold dampness, you're always fighting powdery mildew and root rot and what have you. We also get a really late start to our spring, summer in regards to temperatures high enough to really get vegetables to grow. So it's kind of trying to figure out how soon to get things in and how early to start things in order to really take advantage of the growing season here. That being said, we do and can often grow well into September, October, even November in the right year, the right conditions. As you know, we've been in a drought, so this year it's been really important to do mulch and come up with other clever ways to use less water and grow more. And also the last week we've had extreme heat like I've never seen before here. And what is extreme heat for Northern California? I'm talking 104 to 116 degrees almost a week straight. When heat gets that crazy, you have to understand, like, plants are designed, through evolution to only be able to take so much. It's a fallacy that plants love extreme sun and extreme heat, because just like humans, they have their own form of respiration in order to deal with heat and solar radiation. So I did not get my solar suntan lotion mixed fast enough because I was just so shocked by the temperatures and trying to keep the house cool, keep the animals cool. And this is a sure sign when you're not imagining how intense things are. These are some Black Beauty tomatoes that have some really bad sun scorch on them. There's another one. So yesterday or day before, I mixed up my suntan lotion for plants. If you live in extreme heat or southern part of the country, western part of the country, yeah, you can put something on your plants that helps. The big growers are using it all over the world and nobody knows really. And it's called Pure Shade, and we can't buy it as small growers, but you can mix them up really easy, and it is organic. It's just food grade calcium carbonate, and or you can mix it with type of clay, kaolin clay, and a little dish soap to help it stick to the leaves. And what this creates is a light film like on your shower door that will allow for photosynthesis, yet blocks a percentage of the rays of the sun and protects your fruit, can protect your leaves too. I just got it on late. And it's like maybe a tablespoon per gallon of the food grade calcium carbonate. I should have told you to grab a pen before this video started, because I'm just going to ramble a lot of information at you. Let's get back to the fun stuff though. So I'm going to give you my garden review of what's doing well and what's not doing well. Cucumbers. One thing this year that was interesting, which I don't know if it's good or bad, you may or may not know, there's 60% roughly of the insect population worldwide has died. This year I had no insect problems. I had a little bit of aphid activity when I was gone out west fossil hunting, but it was on one plant, so I figured that was the sacrificial lamb. But I have not had to spray for bugs at all. Now that may be because I also spray weekly fertilizer onto the leaves, an organic fertilizer, and I mix in that calcium carbonate and or kaolin clay, which acts as a mild insecticide. But my cucumbers have been amazing, and as you can see, the leaves are still massive and they're still producing heavily. This is a loofah sponge. Did you know loofah sponges don't come from the ocean? It's actually an aggressive vine if you live in a hot, humid climate, and you can eat these. They're a kind of like an okra. They're a slimy, delicious tasting vegetable, very buttery. It's really popular in Asian cuisine, especially Chinese food. Or you can grow them out to a massive size, dry them, peel them, shake the seeds out, and you have actual loofah to scrub your body with. This is a special Chinese cucumber. It was sent by my father-in-law and is a really thin skin and is super sweet, super crunchy. So I've saved the seeds for that one. But as you can see, cucumbers are happy, happy, happy. One of the tricks to keep your cucumbers producing is to, and to get more cucumbers, is the great thing about growing these on the fence is that I do have somewhat of a sun protection for half the day instead of them getting blasted all day long, which also helps with watering. And when it reaches 6 foot tall, a tomato or a vining thing, I clip it. And when you clip your cucumbers, it's going to make them send out more branches from down below, 2 or 3 more, and that means 2 to 3 more cucumbers. This one's a nice example. I had to get out here. I have no help with my garden. Lots of people eat my food, but in the beginning of the season, everyone said, oh yeah, I want to learn to garden. I want to garden. I want to garden. And then when the shit got real and the work was here to be done, everyone disappeared. But that's why gardening is not a hobby, it's a discipline. And I take it very, very seriously. Loofah sponge flower, honeybees, that's always a good sign. So yes, these are Black Beauty tomatoes. I believe that my Black Beauties may have crossed with something else because these are very purple, and as they're ripening, they're like a purple pink. And the actual Black Beauty tomato, and from what I read, a lot of the black tomatoes came out of Russia, literally looks black. See if I can find one in here to show you. I know there's one hiding in here somewhere. Look at these zucchinis. Now they were prize winning this year for sure. Prizes, prize. Look at these tomatillos. These are 4.5 to 5 feet tall right now, and I've already canned 12 cans of Verde sauce. Verde sauce is the easiest thing to make, and you can get real creative with it, and it's delicious. The best thing to do with Verde, you buy a big chunk, a nice piece of pork loin, and you drop it in a slow cooker and submerge it in your Verde and just let it cook for like a long time, and then just shut it off, let it sit in there for like almost 24 hours and put that out for people. Here we go. That's much more black. Actually, I guess it is the same color. For some reason, I thought I saw one in here that was black. Well, as we go along, guess we find it. Again, check out those monsters. So this is the benefit. You get giant zucchini. We've had more zucchinis than what we knew like most people. I'd way overplanted it because I didn't know what they were going to do. And I was expecting gophers to steal them, as the gophers have been also taking my melons. This is the benefits, if you see these giant leaves, of the foliar feeding. So you do like a lower amount, and you put the fertilizer in a 2-gallon spray bottle and pump it up, and you give your plants a spray of that foliar feeder. I like the fish seaweed combination. The plants really love that, but any good quality organic that you can liquefy and spray on the leaves once a week. And then, like I said before, when the plants reach that 6 foot mark, they get clipped, and that's going to create more of a bounty for you. Let's see, I'll show you some of my fun tomatoes. You saw the Black Beauties. These are Polish heirloom. They don't like the heat so much, but I had some giant ones, and but they got real sun scorched really bad. You can see, look at this one, terrible sun scorch. That's when you know that it's just way too hot out. Like you've exceeded what a plant can handle. These are called green tigers. They're small, pointed, egg-shaped tomatoes. and it won't. You can pick them a little early when they're greenish, but they'll get a little darker pink with those green and yellow stripes on them. They're beautiful. That was a black Cherokee, but it's busted out. This is an Oxheart tomato. I highly recommend. Look at massive. I mean, Oxheart, you get these really crazy heart-shaped tomatoes that are pinkish colored, and they're great for canning. And they, each one will be a pound or more. They are huge and such a great producer. This is an awesome tomato. If you like cherry tomatoes, this is a big producer, and we're talking sugar sweet. It's a black Russian cherry, and they get darker than this. But I have so many tomatoes every day. I come out here and pick a bushel and take it in the house, and so often I'll pick the tomatoes a little earlier to allow them to ripen inside so they can be canned, and it gives me a little more time to get ahead of things, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed by a garden, and that's when you got, you know, football-sized zucchini and what have you. This little tomato is called a pink Mexican ribbed. These do really well, of course, in super hot climates, super sunny climates. It's a very dense, very sweet tomato, and they get a lot larger than this, but it's a fun tomato. It's a beautiful tomato. It's a tasty tomato. That's the most important thing, right? This is a funky little crossbreed pink variety. It's been tasty. I've enjoyed it. This is that Polish heirloom again. You can see the weird shape of it. It's like a Roma, but they get a lot larger, but it just wasn't happy. It sun scorched to the point of like being inedible. These are really special. This is a heirloom variety of a Thai tomato called a Thai pink egg. They're beautiful and they're very sweet, and they produce quite a few cherry to medium-sized little pink egg-shaped tomatoes. They're wonderful. Don't see these very often. Yes, it's a fun one. This is from Peru. It's called, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. So the common names are wandering tomato or ristonto, and it looks like bubbles and bubbles and bubbles. And you can pull these apart like grapes, though they are all attached to the main tomato. Really fun tomato. This is an excellent saucing tomato, but again, it's very fussy. I usually get enough to, to show off, because I have a big plate in the house, and when I start planting my seeds in springtime, I vision this multicolor, multi-shaped, I mean, it looks like an art palette. It is so beautiful with all the crazy shapes and colors of tomatoes. And I really kind of grow up more as a novelty, because I've yet to have the climate that really, really shows it off. There's another Black Beauty. I think this is an Anis Noir. Anis Noir, they get huge, funny color. They're delicious, but really easy to grow. Here's another one of those. There's a beautiful Polish heirloom. See, it's like a ginormous, it's like a huge Roma. These are excellent paste tomatoes. And you know how I got these seeds? I was in France, and we left Paris to go outside of the city to visit a sculptor. And he had a beautiful vegetable garden at his house. And when they served lunch, they had these tomatoes in our salad, and they were so excellent. I asked them what they were, and they looked at me like I was stupid. And so I politely asked for a paper napkin and brought the seeds home. Look at this. This is definitely an Anis Noir, and it's probably 1.5 pounds at this point. That's a giant one. This one produced beautiful yellow tomatoes, but I don't have. Oh yeah, there's one. I think this is a Nebraska wedding tomato. And the nice thing about the yellow tomatoes, low acid for people who have trouble eating tomatoes that are high in acid, and very, very tasty. Ground cherries. You've seen a lot of my videos about ground cherries. Nutritious, delicious. This is the annual variety, and they've gotten really, really, really huge. I'll show you some more down here. But the nice thing about ground cherries is the reason they're called ground cherries is when the fruit is ripe, it drops on the ground. And in general, bugs leave it alone, birds leave it alone, and then you come by and pick it up. And it's in the tomatillo family, and the tomato family, and the pepper family. Those are all nightshades. And it's very savory and sweet at the same time. And they have salsa recipes and jelly recipes, and it's a big producer. And when they're happy, one plant grows low to the ground and will grow 3 to 5 feet across, and you'll get 5 or 6 branches. So a lot of berries. You'll see what coming up here, there's a lot more. More. Don't know what he is yet. These are lovely. I'm not sure if that's a yellow Ukrainian or if it is my peach Roma I have. Because again, sometimes the tomatoes cross, but that's been a big producer, really good flavor. Look at this giant, these are all ground cherries through here, next to the tomatillos. I thought they'd make good company, being that they're cousins. Oh, I wish I had a better one of these. A Wappa something or another peach. So these little yellow tomatoes are super sweet and tasty. And they almost have like a little fuzz coating on them, like an actual peach. You can kind of see it. Funny, you can feel, let's see the fuzzy, the blurriness isn't the camera, it's actually there's this little layer of fuzz on the tomatoes. They're really strange. So at this point you're wondering, how many different types of tomatoes does this dude have? So I've been collecting for over 20 years and saving my seeds for over 20 years, and I counted 55 different varieties of tomatoes, and not one of those was your common American tomatoes that you buy at the garden center every year, a big boy, an early girl, nothing like that. They're all exotic. If I could only grow one tomato, I would grow this one. This is a green cherry tomato. It's a big producer and the flavor is outstanding. All the green tomatoes have outstanding flavor, but this grows really easy in a pot, or as you can see, it grows huge. It's exceeded the 6 feet. And it will, if happy and protected, it will produce fruit well into November and sometimes into December. Great variety. So I have all my more ground cherries. Oh, a banana. Ground cherries, massive. Some more of the Mexican pink rib. Those are Anise Noir. Massive. I know I'm mixing some in here. You know what I missed that's hiding in here? And it really surprised me this year. It was called the Great White. And it's a white tomato. And in general, they are all 1 pound or more. I'll have to take you in the house and show you the one I have in the house. But yeah, when we say white, what we mean is a really pale yellow. But the more ripe they get, the paler they get. But whenever they sell you seeds or fruit online, in general, they exaggerate the color to draw you in, to get you to buy something. But I'll take you in the house and show you in there, because you're going to get a better idea. Ooh, Berkeley tie-dye. This is a great tomato. Look at that color. This is a fantastic heirloom. Yeah, I got to get out here with my basket. I got a lot of tomatoes to pick. Berkeley tie-dyes do well because they were designed at Berkeley in cooler, foggier, moister, lower light conditions. Those the tomato seeds I got in French, those Polish heirlooms do well in lower, colder climates too. This is a wonderful tomato, and there's several kinds. This is a pink Japanese. Super sweet salad tomato, super dense. Not a great sauce tomato because it's so low acid and so sweet, but a beautiful salad tomato. These were indigo kumquats, but the first indigo kumquat I had was so sweet, it tasted like fruit. But the thing is, all these tomatoes pretty much stay true except for this one. They tend to cross-pollinate with everything around them, and when you try to save the seeds, they're thick-skinned and different colors, and they're just nothing like an indigo. So every year, I try to find a grower who says they have indigo kumquat seeds, I plant the seeds and they're never true indigos. The indigo kumquat that I had was truly a deep orange color. It was more of a grape-shaped fruit. You can say this one crossed with a pear of some sort. And it's not that it's horrible, but this isn't the fantastic tomato that I had at my neighbor's house that was a true indigo. But how you get them, I have no idea, because I've grilled growers online and tried to get those seeds. And they say, yeah, it's definitely an indigo. Yeah, no, it's crossed. I could achieve that, fools. Again, look at these monsters. These are definitely Anis Noir. A more beautiful pink Japanese. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, this one. So look at the size of this plant. It's just reaching about 5.5 feet, five and a half feet. This is a black Japanese trifle. And the fruit is shaped, oh, here's a nice one. You're gonna get a real treat here. Oh. It's shaped pear-shaped with this beautiful burnt amber color to it. Super thin skin, and the flavor is outrageous. And that's probably quarter to a half a pound, and consistent. I mean, almost all the fruit on this are large like this. It's not like I got small ones and big ones. And there were probably 30 or 40 this on one plant. Black Japanese trifle, incredible tomato. So now what I'm going to show you is I started all my stuff from seed, and I kept some of my plants in their pots to kind of just hold them back. And then I, made sure I kept watering them, didn't allow those little plants that I kept in the pots for an extra 3 or 4 weeks to bloom, because a plant's stress response when the roots are root bound is to flower. And so I'd pinch off those little flowers from the plants, and then I waited 3 to 4 weeks, and then these will be my late season tomatoes. So I planted these 3 or 4 weeks after these ones, and if the weather cooperates, these 8 or 9 plants I have back here are going to be my later season tomatoes, because you could see on this one's amazing. You could see on some of the plants in the front, it's mid-September now, and they're starting to go. They've produced, they've done their thing, they've fought the gophers off, they've fought the heat. One of the things I did this year that I had read about that was I had incredible success was baking soda. So if you put baking soda on the leaves, you have to use a really minute amount because it will burn the leaves, almost any concentration. But you're pretty much safe at tablespoon per gallon. But you can see the powdery mildew really wants to start up. And especially in this corner here, I've been fighting this. And the thing is, you don't want to wait until it gets out of control. But one of the things I also did to fight the blight, which is when your tomatoes start getting really burned out looking and the leaves just start shriveling up and yellowing for no reason, I put tons of baking soda, handfuls of it around the base and in the soil all through my garden. And I did this once a week throughout the season. And I think that's also one of the reasons that my tomatoes and my zucchinis are in such great shape, even though it's like mid-September-ish. And you pile it in with your hands. You can get a big bag of it at Costco, like a 5-pound bag, I think it is. And toss it around the soil, around the plants, just water it in really well. And what this does, from what I read, is it raises the soil acidity. So the tomatoes love it. It acts like another nutrient in the soil. And it makes, because the acidity in the soil is higher, the powdery mildew spores don't like that. And so try it. It's not too late to go buy some baking soda and toss it around. But you can see there's little signs, there's a little fungus going on there. But I'm happy. I mean, I'm out here every day, and you can see how many more tomatoes we have to harvest. I'm gonna have probably 150 to 300 pints of different tomato sauces, spaghetti sauces, salsas, marsalas, on and on and on. So I'm really, really happy with the garden this year. The only problem I had was fighting the heat and fighting the gophers. But the gophers love cantaloupes. And here's a funny thing for you. So the gophers were literally coming through the ground and eating the cantaloupe from the ground up, making a hole through the cantaloupe. And it looked like just like this, like totally normal. And then I'd walk up and I'd pick up the cantaloupe and it would be hollow from the inside and there'd be a hole underneath it. It was amazing, their mastery, because they didn't even move it. So then I thought, oh, I'll be really clever. I'll put the melons on tin foil and set them back on the soil because the driveway gets so hot. And those bastards actually drilled through the tinfoil. That was not a barrier for them, and did the same thing. So now I've literally had to try to pull the melons out. I need to get my chicken wire. I've been just really distracted with a lot of things going on and protect these last melons I have from those bastards. Anyways, little butternuts. They love butternut squash too. Almost all my butternut squash has been eaten by the gophers. But I always say in the garden, I always overplant. There's two things about overplanting. Yeah, this is a poor example. You should never have tomatoes this close together because you're inviting, disease because they really like ventilation. But I overplant because it's like French intensive gardening. It makes shade for the ground so you don't have to water as much. You don't have to weed it all because there's no room for weeds to come up. And so, it's you do this or you do that. I like to overplant and plant things close together for those reasons because I'm in California and I just try to spray and deal with the disease and the insects aggressively. Because like I said before, gardening is not a hobby, it is a discipline. So as soon as you see, or even before, don't wait, especially if it's September, late October, September, the powdery mildew is just waiting. It's waiting so you can start spraying with your corn oil and baking soda. Those are your best friends, and specifically corn oil. I don't know why, but corn has something in it that kills powdery mildew, smothers it off the leaves. So that being said, that's your catch-up garden tour of Riddle's tomato, tomatillo, ground cherry, squash, etc. for 2022. And thanks for coming to my channel. And if you like my quick money-saving tips, garden wisdom, rants, raves, art, and occasional magic, please like, share, subscribe. It helps. Bye for now.